Boston, in a game that had two of the best closers in the NBA, this one came down to Kawhi Leonard versus Kyrie Irving, and it was the latter who stole the show. The Celtics came into this one struggling with their team chemistry, struggling on the court and struggling just to get on the same page. They left it with Irving having re-established himself as the alpha male on the court thanks to a 10-point frame in which he answered every big shot Leonard made and then went one better, hitting a three from just outside the logo to put the Celtics in the lead for good. Irving finished with 27 points, 17 assists, and 5 rebounds as he put to rest any talk about dissension within the Celtics ranks. It was only 2 games ago that Irving was making headlines for calling out teammates at the end of a game for failing to get him the ball in crunch time. That the Celtics got a very good look, even if it did not find the mark, seemed irrelevant to Irving. The former Cavaliers point guard sat out the next game, another loss in Brooklyn, but made everything good again last night with a dominant performance in leading Boston to a 117-108 win. Toronto's starters began the night determined it wouldn't be them that allowed the Celtics to get rolling again and had things rolling their way for the better part of the first quarter. But in the second quarter, Boston's bench basically handed Toronto's non-starters their lunch and seemed to be pulling away. Toronto re-established themselves in the third but still went into the fourth trailing, and that was when Leonard came alive. That was followed quickly by Irving going him one better. Leonard had 12 points in the final frame in a 33-point night, but it wasn't enough to outdo Irving. The Raptors got 22 points out of Serge Ibaka and a solid 10.7 assist night from Kyle Lowry, but not much else. Greg Monroe came back to show the Celtics they made a mistake letting him go and had 11 off the bench to match Norm Powell, but zeros from every other sub made it a very tough night for the Raptors as a whole. There will be little time to reflect on this one as the Raps are right back on the court back home at Scotiabank Arena hosting Phoenix in a 7:30 p.m. tip-off. It's Norm's time. Perhaps you have noticed an uptick in Norm Powell's minutes. These are not a gift. He has earned these minutes. He's played really solid, Raptors head coach Nick Nurse said. Just solid at both ends. He's into the defensive coverages, he's communicating, he's talking, he's playing extremely hard at that end, and he's playing within himself on offense. He's moving it when he should move it, he's attacking when he should attack, and I think he's back to being the finisher we had a couple years ago. He used to finish at the rim a lot and that just kind of disappeared in thin air last year for some reason, but we've got him back going downhill and getting to that left hand and getting up above the rim, and he's been finishing. The feeling is that when Powell gets out of whack a little it's because he's trying to do too much, sometimes, Nurse agreed. I think the biggest thing with us is we just want to keep him in the rhythm of our offense. I think when he gets maybe out of whack, I wouldn't say in trouble, he gets out of whack a little bit, is when he's maybe holding it a little bit too much, calling for the big to come up and screen and roll, which nobody's quite ready for that yet with still a lot of time on the shot clock, those kind of things. So he's done a great job, first of all working to learn the rhythm of the offense, pre and post practice, and he's taken to the floor, defense improving and growing. Kawhi Leonard was asked the biggest difference he's seen in his team since that humbling loss in San Antonio just after the calendar turned. His answer was the defense, particularly the communication on defense, which has made for tighter and crisper rotations, helping the Raptors lock teams down. Nurse said the team has been adding to their defensive schemes after spending most of the first 2 months of the schedule sticking to foundational defensive principles. We've been adding some schemes as we go, and lately, probably in the last 3 weeks, we've added a couple more coverages, just to be able to play the different teams, different personnel, different ball handlers on different nights, so we've got a little bit more in our toolbox, Nurse said. Nurse said the added defensive schemes allow him a plan B when plan A isn't working. His first instinct is to ask his players to continue with plan A but do it harder. If that doesn't work, it's nice to have something else to go to. I think that's given them a little bit more comfort, to know there's a plan B that's not only in place, but we've practiced, we've started to execute it in games a little bit, and I think that's probably what Kawhi was referring to. Buzzer beaters. The starters were rolling through that first quarter. Nick Nurse then flipped the script a bit and left Danny Green out with the bench rather than one of Lowry or Leonard, which had been working. The bench wound up giving almost all of the early lead back, and by the time the starters returned, the Celtics had their rhythm. Aaron Baines may not seem like a big piece in Boston, but his return should not be overlooked. The Celtics are a much better team with him defensively and a much tougher team to play against. We probably owe Gordon Hayward an apology. Suggested in a piece the day before the game that it seemed unlikely he would ever get back to the form he showed in Utah before that season-ending injury in his first game as a member of the Celtics last season. Hayward looked pretty damn good coming off the bench for the Celts Wednesday night. He had 16 in the first half, 7 in the first quarter and 9 more in the second.